Hey, it's Mother Funny Time with Andie and Angie.
2 cousins, 8 kids, 1 grandkid, 2 states.
And a whole lot of fun. Woo! Welcome back, Mother Funny Tribe. It's Andie and Angie.
Yay! Welcome back.
Woo!
Party!
Welcome. We have a whole new discussion this week. Whole new.
Like every week.
Basically,
every week it's a new topic.
It's consistent. It's consistent. We don't talk about the same thing the whole time. Basically, all I have to do is be like, Angie, what's your week look like? And then we're like, that's a discussion. Because we'll start talking about it and then it becomes a thing and then we have to stop ourselves because we're like, no, we need to save this. So this week, Angie, let's tell them what we're talking about.
This week, because it is the end of February, beginning to be March, and it is flu season. Flu season is in full swing this year. It seems like so many people have the flu or COVID. RSV is randomly going around. That used to just be for younger kids, and now actually even older kids are getting RSV, along with like common colds and allergies, and trying to figure out like, is this a cold or is this the flu or is this allergies?
Yes.
And trying as a mom to like figure that out. But really, when you're a mom, and really we're all doctors at some point as we're trying to like work through it out,
yeah.
but moms have to make the appointments for the most part. And there's a lot that goes into just making an appointment and figuring it out with your schedule, figuring it out with your child's schedule and with the school schedule, especially with their classes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know our district was like, if you're going to make an appointment, you need to make it either before 10 a.m. or after 10 a.m. because at 10 a.m. is exactly when they like send away for attendance and say like, this is everyone that was at the school. And so they've even told us like, if you're making those appointments, make sure it's either before or after 10 a.m. So then you're also trying to adjust your scheduling appointments around the 10 a.m. mark. But then there's kids who are like, go to the orthodontist, or they have specialists, or all those dentist appointments, 2 dentist appointments and the well child checkup appointments. So it almost feels like it's a part-time job, just scheduling your children's appointments.
We're personal assistants.
100%. And nobody's talking about it. Like moms will talk about it or discuss it amongst themselves, but really nobody outside of those circles are talking about it because it's like, oh, it's just an appointment. No, there is so much that goes into making that appointment. And it's one of those things, just like Andie was talking about, like when we talked about moms driving, like literally Andie was driving as that was happening and we were like, we need a podcast about it. And it was so funny.
I know. How much time you spend in a car.
Yes. And so now it was like, yes, with appointments, because it is the well child checkup appointments. And sometimes, and I don't know if you dealt with this, maybe your scheduling was better than mine, but I have 3 kids who were born during winter break. And so those appointments I always scheduled when we got back from vacation or once the kids were back in school. I'm not going to waste a winter break day on scheduling a well child checkup appointment. Well, then with insurances, like once you make it, so like say the twins, their birthday's end of December. So if I make their appointment end of January, I can't schedule their next well child checkup appointment till the end of January. Like it has to be a full year later. So that's also something to try to juggle because of insurances and the date and when you actually can make the appointment or when it's allowed or the allotted time.
Yeah, I'm already exhausted. I'm already like... And then I was thinking about all of the prep that goes into taking your child to the doctor or dentist because as we started chatting, we talked about the mom shame that can even come from your doctors and dentist appointments. Like if anything's wrong in this era, I don't know how our moms had to deal with it. I feel like moms in the 80s were not shamed. What happened to their kids. Like we were talking about the dentist. You go to the dentist back in the 80s, you had a cavity. The dentist was like, you need to blah, 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 blah. I remember going to the dentist in the 80s or actually 80s, early 90s and having lipstick. And the doctor like shamed me for having lipstick, right? He wasn't like, woman, your child should not be wearing lipstick. Like he shamed me. Like he made me feel terrible. Like he's like, wipe that off your mouth.
Wait.
Why
was lipstick so bad? Why was he upset about the lipstick?
Well, I think because it would like get on his glove. I mean, it makes sense. But even now I chapstick, but I'm like no color. Anyway.
Don't mess up their scrubs they're wearing. They have to stay pristine, clean.
They were very,
random.
but I just remember, I remember dentists and doctors, it was on me as a kid. Even at school, if you were late, you got detention. But it's a different world now. Now it's the same world in that we still get shamed, but now we're the parents. I think elder millennials and Gen X, we have been shamed since we were kids. And here we are now. You take your kid to the dentist and your child has a cavity and the dentist lays into you. They could be 13 years old and they're laying into you for your child to having a cavity. And if your kid's late, you get a letter home. You need to get your child to school on time. If you go to the doctor, and there was one time where I took my son, he was younger, and I wasn't on his yearly checkup. I was there because he was sick, and they're totally shamed me. Totally shamed me for missing his 4-year-old appointment and just taking him for being sick. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. You have to make sure. And then when you show up, you have to make sure your child looks very well cared for. You're any bruises, anything going on here? We hydrated. We have to tell him okay, there's things you could say to the doctor. I had a friend whose son I think he had fallen from the couch and hurt his teeth. But she was when you get to the doctor, tell him what happened. Tell him how you fell and blah, blah, blah. Just, coaching him because he was younger. He gets to the doctor and the doctor's what happened? And he looks at his mom and goes, Mom, what am I supposed to say again?
Oh, no. That's the worst.
She's tell him what happened.
Of all the things he could have said, that's literally the worst answer.
The worst. And she's just tell him what happened. Tell him what happened. And everything was fine. But you know what I mean? There is a lot of pressure to have your kids to not, get even shamed or in trouble by the doctors and dentists and all of that. You're still trying to play it cool.
Well,
And
you had a really
what I have
good
to
point when
say.
we were talking about this, because it's always the moms who get shamed and get judged and are the ones who make the bad choices. You missed, your child's child checkup appointment. Andy, who doesn't get shamed or judged or blamed? The moms do.
The dads. The dads are not where was your husband and why didn't he take your child to the 4-year
Right.
appointment? Why are you at the doctor's because they're sick? How dare you take your child to the doctor when they're sick and not when they're healthy?
I don't think Ryan's ever been shamed for not taking them to their appointments or getting there on time. I mean, let's face it, is he really at the appointment? Sometimes he is, but most of the time he's not. But why are the moms the ones who they're lecturing? There's two parents who are hey, go brush your teeth, child. That takes two people to remind the children, go brush your teeth, go brush your teeth.
So all we have to do is throw the dads under the bus. Be I'm on it, but my husband, he's
dude,
lets him eat
tip
sugar.
or trick. Blame the husband when they're in the appointments. Yes.
My husband was supposed to take him to the last visit. He didn't. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's totally what we all need to start doing now. Just blame the significant other. Oh, I do everything. And
blame the significant
this was their one chance. There was this one time to take them to the well-child checkup appointment or to make sure they brush their teeth or... it's all of those appointments, though. Okay, so when you have a brand new baby, and you have a brand new baby, you're at the hospital, and then they send you home with the baby, and they're good luck.
Keep it alive.
Hope it works out. But then it's all of those appointments, too. All those newborn appointments.
Every 2 weeks.
Yes. Okay, so babies need to go to the doctor or nurse for a well baby visit. That's what they're now calling it. I guess that's actually the term, is a well baby visit. We always called it the well child checkup appointment.
Newborn.
Yeah. 6 times before their first birthday. I mean, that's a lot of times. Okay. American Academy of Pediatrics. I know we have people who listen around the world. This is what the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends.
We don't know about the New Zealand one.
I'm so sorry. If you want to reach out to us and tell us, I will gladly
South Africa, let us know.
We want to represent your medical professionals' opinions as well and their beliefs. But the American Academy of Pediatrics, they recommend that babies get checkups. Are you ready? At birth, 3 to 5 days after birth, and then at 1 month, 2 month, 4 months, 6 month, 9 month, 12 month, 15 month, 18 month, and 24 months. Then once your baby's a toddler and a child, they'll have the routine checkups at 30 months, 3 years, and then after that, it's just annually. Okay, that's so many appointments. Now, is it appropriate? Yes. Should you do it? 100%. Is it beneficial to the child? Yes. However, there is so much for like a mom of a newborn who's not sleeping, who's trying to nurse and trying to figure out what it's like to be a new mom. And now you're literally at the doctor's office once a month, you know?
And everything's freaking you out. You're like, my baby sleeps too much. My baby doesn't sleep. My baby is upset. Is it, you know, and your mind's, we've talked about intrusive thoughts, are always going to scary places. You're like, what's wrong with my baby? They're like, your baby's normal and fine. But thanks for asking.
Remember like the jaundice situation where you're like, does my baby have jaundice? And like, my kids never had jaundice, but I remember one pediatrician saying like, put your baby in the car seat, buckle them up, and put them by a window. And then I was like, well, for how long? For how many minutes?
Baby. But that's scary for a new mom. You're like, but I can't put on sunscreen, but they need sunlight, but they're yellow. Why are they yellow? My earliest pictures of Daisy, she's a little banana. She's so yellow. But they're all fine. Like, my kids get a little jaundice. Anyway, yes. And then doctor's appointments, newborn's appointments, you're like still hurting. Your whole body is still like crazy at newborn appointments. And then you might even have toddlers with you or other children you're dragging to these appointments. And it's just chaos. It's chaos. I remember taking Daisy to an orthodontist appointment. I was watching other kids, so I had a couple extra kids with me. I had my son, I had my daughter, so I had like 4 kids with me. We're in the waiting room. Daisy's at the ortho office. Shiloh starts to climb up a chair, falls, randomly cuts her head open.
Oh no.
And I was like, now what? I'm sitting there and her head's open and she's crying. And I was like tapping on they had a window. I was like knocking on the window. I'm like, hey, they're like, how can I help you? And I'm like, my daughter just cut her head. And they like start to reach a tissue out to me. And then I like lift Shiloh up so that they can see that her head's like gushing. They're like, ah. I'm like, I need my daughter out because I have to go to urgent care right now. So.
Okay, when you take your kids to well-child checkup appointments or like to orthodontist appointments, like you're saying, and you have like the rest of their siblings with them. I mean, it's also, you're bringing a ton of stuff. Like you might be bringing like crayons and coloring books or their book or an iPad. So when you're like, hey, go get Daisy because I now have to go to urgent care, like you're also telling the other kids, hey, pack up all your stuff, guys. And does anyone need to go to the bathroom before we go to urgent care for this next appointment?
Where you can sit in that waiting room as well.
Yes.
Well, they stitch up this one.
It's not just like, all right, let's go. It's like when you have the other siblings, I always feel like I'm walking into the lion's den when I have one child going to a well-child check appointment and I've had to bring the other ones because I'm like, oh my gosh, these other ones that are like sitting here or then they're like crawling on the floor or they're rolling on the floor because they're so bored. I'm like, all the germs. Like they're going to end up getting the flu waiting at the well-child check appointment for their sibling. Right? It's like you're walking in like, okay, guys.
A petri dish. You're walking into a petri dish. And you're like, we're all going to go and make sure you're healthy and that we all come home with COVID. Like, that's what we're doing today.
At Riley's well-child checkup appointment, which I don't even know what they call a teenage appointment now. Teenage child appointment. I don't know.
They call it teenagers.
At that one, the nurse opens the door to walk out because she's going to go get the doctor. And sure enough, there was like a 2-year-old crawling into the room. Like it crawled all the way into our room. And then the other nurse was holding the baby that she clearly was trying to weigh in one hand and trying to go get the toddler of the other. I don't know where the mom was. She must have been like down in the hallway. And she's like, I'm sorry.
She was smart. She's like, you take them back. I'll be in here. Do you have a coffee cart? Just tell me when we're all wrapped up. She has life figured out. That's what she
Yes, that's right. Because that mom was gone. And this poor nurse is trying to like juggle this. And I was like, it's okay. But I can't go and like pick up this toddler that I don't know. Because like you can't do that, right? You can't like help out because then there's like protocols and stuff. And so I was like, it's okay. Try to at least reassure this nurse. So she's like now like juggling 2 kids. And the one, because it was going to, you know, be weighed, like it was just only in a diaper with the blanket around it. I'm like, oh, don't let the baby slip, you know, because the blanket's like wrapped around and then she's got the other one. I mean, she's a nurse. She can handle it all. It was more me like, oh, I hope that baby's okay. So regardless of what's happening, if you have multiple kids, they're coming to those appointments with you. And there's so many moms out there who kind of were asking this question I found of like, can I bring my other kids? Is it okay to bring my other kids? What do you think? And they had so many responses of, well, get your husband involved. Have your husband take the day off from work. Have him take a half day. And I was like, okay, people, you don't know. The husband cannot just take off every single time you have a child checkup appointment or your child's sick. Or what if the mom has a adult checkup appointment? You know? What about those? Like this idea of just have the dads take a day off from work. No, they're never going to have a job. They're going to get fired for missing all the appointments and then there goes your medical insurance. Like that's not the answer.
We need the medical insurance.
Right? So out of touch. And there were these super judgy people all about like, tell the dad to do his job. Like he actually is. He's working. He's providing the medical insurance.
We need him to do his job. Actually, we need that. That income is helpful.
And then other people were saying, well, just go during lunchtime. Then your husband takes a lunch break and then your child goes to the doctor's. Okay, people, they clearly don't know pediatrician's office because they take off from 12 to 1:30. Yeah. You can try to schedule your child's child checkup appointment at 1:15. That place is closed. That's not happening. So for all of these super judgy people.
And then for it to only be an hour, like your appointment usually wait an hour before they even see you. So you better have a great 2-hour lunch.
Right.
Available.
Right. Not during actual lunchtime. Because I'm surprised, all these judgy people like, hey, guess what? Doctors, they take lunch breaks too. The front office staff, they take lunch breaks. Even pharmacies, you know how they close from like 1:30 to 2? They have lunch breaks. Yes. So people online and just all these articles and things I was seeing, I was like, yeah, this isn't helpful. None of this is helpful to moms. Like,
I just need help. Is that what you're saying? I just need somebody to come and help and do it for me because it's too much. That's amazing.
But so many moms don't want to ask for help. That's part of it, is moms don't want to ask a neighbor or another mom friend or even a family member to help them. Hey, can you watch these 2 kids because I have to take the baby to their appointment? Or even like when moms are pregnant and they're going to the OB 50,000 times while you're pregnant. You know, hey, can you watch my 2 little ones while I go to this OB appointment? Because like you're saying, those things take hours sometimes. Like you're just in those OB appointments forever.
I remember taking my kids with me. They had to come with me. And I'd be like, stay up here, guys. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I know even as the kids get older and even talking about being a sports mom, when you have a sports kid, as you know, you're probably in the doctors even more because now you have injuries and things that happen. So now not only do you need to get an appointment, but then you need to go to like get x-rays and orthopedist or whatever it is, whatever bone. And then you're trying to juggle the other kids. Even this week, I offered for a friend to take her child to urgent care to get an x-ray because they had an accident during their sport. And she's like, I don't even know when I would get this x-ray. And it's not necessary, but I mean, anyway, I won't go into detail, but yeah, like she's like, I literally don't have time to take this child to get this x-ray.
So many urgent cares now have x-ray machines and they read it right then too, which is fantastic. I think a lot of people think like, if I have to get an x-ray, I need to go to the ER. But now so many urgent cares have it and then they read it within like 15 minutes. It's so much faster than going to the ER.
Cheaper.
Yes.
So much cheaper. It's like $1,000 cheaper to get your urgent care. Yeah, I think I paid $50 once for an x-ray at an urgent care. And they're like, well, or you could do it at the hospital for $750. I'm like, I'll take the $50. I'll drive down the street, go get my $50 urgent care. And that was without insurance. It was amazing. I paid $50.
That's money well spent.
I feel like that's bragging right there.
It's okay. It's informing people because especially when you're a mom of a little one, like all you think of is like child is hurt, go to the ER. And then it's like, well, actually call the urgent care because there's a whole bunch of them and see which ones have x-ray machines, or certain urgent cares, they actually they will do stitches, because like our pediatricians won't do stitches, but urgent cares will. Some of them will. So then you don't have to, again, end up at the ER surrounded by all the germs. I remember I got in a car accident. I was rear-ended. I got in a car accident. I didn't want to go to the ER, and Ryan pretty much made me because I was clearly hurt. But I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. He's like, you're not moving. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm sitting there, and all I could think of is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get the flu. I'm totally going to get the flu. I'm sitting here and I'm going to get the flu. Everybody is so sick. Like, what's going on? And I just needed a shot and a whole bunch of pain meds, and I was fine. I was golden after that. But you're not quite thinking.
Where can I get pain meds?
Okay. Well, I was at the ER. See, I have all these ER jokes. Not jokes. I have all these ER stories.
You do. I've often said that Angie and Ryan need like a punch card for urgent cares and ERs, like so they could get like a free coffee after 10 or something, because they have 5 kids.
It's bound to happen.
And they get in an accident and whatever. Like, everybody needs to go.
I did hear, because I did ask a nurse one time, like, when's the best time to go to ER? Like, if I need to go to the actual ER. And she said usually around like 3 or 4 a.m. is the best time. So in case anyone wants to know, that's coming from the nurse. But we were at the ER one time, and this poor boy, a soccer goal had fell on his head. And I was just like, can he get help? Like, the parents were being so nice and waiting. And I was like, can I like wave flags? Like, this boy needs to go in first place. Like, all of us can wait. So this boy who had a soccer goal fall on his head, like, he clearly needed help. And, because it's a whole system of, they give them numbers, and then there's colors within that, and some go more to the urgent care part of the ER, and then the other ones have like they are coming in from the ambulance. I learned the whole system one time. I sat down. I was there for a while, and I was like talking to the nurse, like, I need you to explain this to me. I think they gave this boy the wrong number. I think he should have been rushed in, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this poor little boy. But I start finding stuff out, because I'm like, if I'm going to be here, like, I got to know how this system works. And now what I've clearly learned is, like, if you at any time can go to the urgent care, go to that urgent care. Avoid the ER.
Go to the urgent care.
Yes.
There was one time I was watching a baby. He was maybe a year and a half, and he was toddling, and he like was walking through my back door, and I was looking at him. And as he's walking, he trips and he hits this metal piece on my door, cuts his head open. I have a lot of head open stories. So I'm not his mom, but I don't think had a phone at the time. So I like, thankfully Chris is home. I like put pressure on his head. We get in the car. We take our kids. We drive to the urgent care. And the kid is like, he was all sleepy. Sleepy. And I'm like, freaking out in this room, and I'm like, you need to take me back. They're like, okay. And they finally put me in a room, but they couldn't do anything until his mom came. But they put me in a room just to like be like, okay. I'm like, kid, there's blood. He wants to take a nap. He's not supposed to take a nap. Head injuries, you don't take a nap. So like, I was like panicking, and they're like, okay, let's go sit in here for a bit. I'm like, okay.
Something I've learned in the ER urgent care days.
What?
If you're in the hospital at the ER, a lot of them have a prayer room. And you can say, can I go sit in the prayer room? And then it's a room that's totally closed off. And usually no one's in there praying, unfortunately. But you're not surrounded by all the germs, and it's really calm and relaxing. So you could ask, is there a prayer room? Or sometimes, and they did this a lot during COVID, and I know some hospitals or even doctors' offices have stopped doing this, but I am pro this, and I keep asking for it, is you can wait in your car. And then you say, like, text me when it's our turn. Because I would rather be in my car with my kids, or just have them kind of away from everyone. And that way, especially when you have toddlers who want to run around and climb on everything, like, they know how to sit in a car seat. And so you can also ask the doctor's office, the urgent care, the hospital, like, can we wait in our car? And then can you text us? And usually they will. And then that way you're in your car kind of removed from everything. And then when it's your time, you just walk on it. And it almost makes it seem like time goes by faster that way, because you're in your own environment instead of constantly like looking around, people in and out, the rush, the sounds, the smells, just the hospital in general. Remember Grandma Vance? Grandma Vance time. Grandma Vance used to say, don't go to the doctor, you're going to get sicker. Or don't go to the doctor because you're going to get sick.
Yeah.
I don't think there might have been some truth to that, but I always think that whenever I have to go to like a well child checkup appointment with the kids. Like, Grandma said we're all going to get sick if we go.
We can't be here. I know, but it happens. It happens. Oh my goodness. And then when they're older, like they have to make appointments. Once they hit 18, they have to make appointments, but they're still your babies, right? So like, first of all, Shiloh was so sad when she turned 18 and she was like, Mom, I need to make this. I mean, what about this appointment? I'm like, honey, I can't do it. They will not give me any information now. I am not allowed to like just free reign have your medical info or like, make these decisions. And so she has to call, she has to talk to the doctor. She has to do all these things for herself. She's like, this is lame. I'm like, I know. For you. One less that I can legally handle. I legally can't make my kids' appointments, but my son, just this morning, he had, he's in California, but he's working, and he has strep. And so he's like, Mom, I'm super sick. And I'm like, still like, okay, go to the doctor, go to do this, do that, do this. He's like, all right. And then he went to the doctor, he got meds. And then last night he was like, I can't breathe. My asthma's super bad. I'm like, do you have your inhaler? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, call this person, make sure. So I'm still like, he didn't ask me to mother him, but I can't help it. I'm like, you need to breathe. You need to get your inhaler. Like, you're still like hypersensitive to it and aware, and you know that your child needs help even though they're an adult and you can't do it for them. But if I could call and be like, you need to prescribe my son albuterol right now, I would do it. But I can't. So, and Chris is cool. He's like, oh, he's sick, yeah, maybe he should go to the doctor. Hey, how you feeling, son? Me, I'm like, no, this is what we do when my son is sick.
Because as a mom, you know the protocol. Like, the symptoms of strep, of flu, of stomach flu, of COVID. Like, moms know all the symptoms, right? Like, we're all doctors to some degree. We all are amazing at WebMD. We can WebMD anything.
Yeah.
But you also know, like, hey, when my child gets strep throat, these are their symptoms and this is how it can affect them. Or if they get a cold, it could lead to their asthma symptoms. So we have to stay on top of it. Like, you as a mom, you know your child's medical history. So now, even though they're 18 plus and they're in charge of their own medical health and their own decisions, you're like, wait, I've studied this.
You need mommy. I'm an expert in your illnesses.
Right.
And it's funny because like when he would get his immunizations, he would scream before they gave him the shots. Like he would scream. You could hear it. Like, he'd be 10 years old. You could hear it from the waiting room. I had kids like, what is happening to Caleb? I'm like, they were threatening to give him his shot. And then he'd get the shot and he'd be like, oh, is this? So now if he ever needs a shot for whatever it is, I'm like, how'd you do? He's like, Mom, fine. I'm like, okay. But it was always such a thing. Getting blood work or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're our kids' medical experts, and the doctors, even as adults, need to know their whole history. I wish I could go with them. I'm not a helicopter.
It's okay if you are. It's okay.
But I want that. I want to be at like all of their initial visits and be like, here's their medical history as written by me. Yes, I know you have a chart, but here's what you need to know that I know. In fact, all doctors should call young adults moms to get the real
Maybe
lowdown.
you're a medical helicopter mom. Maybe there's like a subtype of helicopter mom. 100% I am. I'm like, we're going to talk about this. We're going to figure this out. I don't know if I'm necessarily a helicopter mom, but for sure, when it comes to medical things, it's like I'm on it. And you're going to know. Everybody's going to know. We're all in this together. So that's true. Even as your kids get older, if you're still a medical helicopter mom, that's not leaving. That doesn't stop.
That's right. It's still there. And then maybe you'll be able to back off by the time the grandkids are around. I'm pretty good at Ezra. I was at his first couple appointments.
Were you? I love that.
Yeah, Daisy let me. It was so sweet. But I'm like, did you ask about this? Did you ask about this? She's like, Mom. Apparently, she's an amazing mom and she has it. So I can just ease into retirement as a medical mom and enjoy
But
it.
for all of those moms still in it, keep making those appointments. We understand. You're doing a good job. We get how
You're
frustrating
doing
it is
great.
to be on hold for what seems like 25 minutes and to hear that super annoying music being played on. Why is it always high pitched? It's either super high pitched or it's the Beatles. It's never like a decent. What about 90s? Can we have the 90s music?
90, I mean, read the room, doctor's office. Who is in there with their kid? Like pediatricians, 100%. It should be either Disney sing-alongs or 90s hip-hop.
Right. I mean, you were mentioning Eminem
that's
on the
your
last.
demographic.
How much better would it be if it was wait time and we're all listening to Eminem? Like, I would be in a better place.
I mean, the clean version. You got to lose yourself. You get one shot.
Get it one shot. Oh!
One shot. Oh. We have to. Okay, we need to make our own medical offices. We need our medical offices. We need our own mom pool vans. Like, we need to start like a whole movement.
There you
That's
go.
it.
There you go.
Well, anyway, so Wednesday, we will have more for you on this amazing topic. More tips and tricks, more stories. You will feel seen and heard and loved because we love you.
We do love you. So since you love us, go ahead and like us and share us.
Share us.
Watch us on YouTube. All the
those things.
clips.
Woo. Excellent. All right.
Bye.
All right. That's all we have time for today. We got to wrap it up, unfortunately. But just remember, you might think you're doing just okay, but we think you're doing really great.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you have a great Mother Funny day. Please like and share our podcast.
But please don't tell our moms.